Hello, welcome. So I got chatting with a client yesterday, as I do, and I recorded like a really long video on this this morning. I was walking around the field and thought, you know what, this is way too long. So I thought I'd condense it a little bit and do it inside. So here's what I was talking about. It was about energy and how humans work. Okay, and it's kind of, most people don't think about this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, this is my job to think about this and hopefully teach you in a simple way what I have not discovered, but what I've learned. So I obviously am a human being of sorts, as are you, as is 7 billion other people on earth. I'm made up of skin, organs, bones. Every one of those things is made up of cells. All of those cells are made up of various different chemicals, various different components. And then all of those components are comprised of atoms. So when we break it down, really, we are just trillions and trillions of atoms working coherently together to create a human being. That's all we are. So when you break everything down that far, atoms. Let's draw an atom. This is a very simple atom. Let's say, I think this is hydrogen, right? Okay, two protons, two neutrons, okay, and a little electron flying around there. Okay, electron. So that is an atom. What we know about atoms. Every atom has energy. Because everything that has mass, okay, an atom has mass, albeit very small. Okay, it has mass, has, for some reason, the speed of light. Okay, I don't know all the physics behind E equals mc squared, but everything that has matter has energy. Everything that has matter has energy. This, atoms, they are matter, it has energy. Even at absolute zero, so we pour liquid nitrogen onto something, we take it down to absolute zero. It should, theoretically, if this were 100% totally true, that would have zero energy. But if it had zero energy, it would also have zero mass. Doesn't work, okay? Anyway, so it still has energy because it still has mass. Whether I'm right or wrong on that, that's a question for physicists among us to answer that, okay? But every atom has energy. Everything has energy. Anything that has energy vibrates. Okay, it jiggles. Okay, this is really hard to write on a mouse like this. Okay, anything that has energy vibrates. Anything that vibrates has a frequency. Okay, science terms, okay? It's for how fast it vibrates. Okay, so that's one frequency, so that's a vibration. This is a faster frequency with a lower amplitude, whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. Big amplitude, small amplitude, faster frequency, lower frequency. So everything that has a frequency. And then we move on to voltage. So anything that has a frequency also has a voltage. It's basically the difference between here and here. Okay, the amplitude in electrical terms is voltage. So this is an AC, so alternating current, that's alternating current vibration, an alternating current frequency. What you get in your house, if I draw again, what you get in your house through the mains plug, we get something that looks a little bit like this. Okay, it's called three-phase power. And what that does, so we plug something in, and everything that's underneath here it's called rectified, okay, and comes up. Okay, so anything that's under here is actually not under here, gets rectified and becomes up, and we get an average voltage. The average voltage we get in the UK, 230 volts. We actually have a peak. So the peak there is actually 250, 240 to 250 volts. Okay, so if you actually measured it, it might be slightly higher than 230, might be potentially slightly lower than 230, but that's how electricity in our home works. Okay. Electrons are being passed along a wire with frequency. That frequency, the amplitude, that height there, whether we rectify it or not, carries voltage. This is how our cells operate. So, traditional thinking. I have a cell with a nucleus and a bunch of other stuff in there. In here, we have something called mitochondria. They generally get represented something like that. Okay, let's expand out on that mitochondria. Mitochondria are the thing in our body that essentially produce energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, something like that. Okay, they use something called the electron transport chain, Krebs cycle, to create ATP. So it's a bit of a complex process. But what needs to happen for this to happen? We need to get glucose or fatty acids into the cell, and they go in through gates. Okay, we have gates, and they are voltage controlled gates. Okay, so voltage, we need voltage to control that gate. Now, Newtonian physics would say glucose or fatty acids, it doesn't matter which. Okay, it comes in through that gate, bumps around here, bumps around here, bumps around here, bumps around here, and it's looking for the mitochondria. Okay, it's random. Boom. Okay, found it. Process happens, ATP comes out, energy. What frequency would dictate is that the edge of the cell recognizes the frequency of glucose or fatty acids and sends it direct. That is efficient. Randomness is inefficient. We would not produce energy fast enough if our bodies did not work on voltage and frequency. That is how messages, whatever it is, okay, whatever it is in our body, whether it's protein going from one area of the body to another, whether it's dopamine, whether it's serotonin, whether it's melatonin, whether it's vitamin D, vitamin C, whatever chemical it is in our body, this is what matters. Because if there's a chemical, and I'm just going to draw some random stuff, and this is what a chemical symbol might look like. Okay, some double lines and whatever. Okay, this would be hydrogen, this would be carbon, and maybe this is oxygen, whatever, I don't know. Okay. Whatever chemical that is, it has a specific frequency. Okay, maybe it's modulated, maybe it's got multiple frequencies all together. Okay, so this has its own frequency, this has its own frequency, this has its own frequency, and they combine to create a wave. My body is looking for that, not for that, because the chemical has to be passed from one place to another. That message has to be sent, okay? And it goes in, it's linear. It's bam, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Time. Problem. So if that there is emitting a frequency, that frequency can travel at the speed of light. C. That frequency can travel to everywhere in my body simultaneously, and it will go wherever it's required. That is how our body works. It's not random, which is what Newtonian physics would dictate. Okay, random. It's got to go on it's going to go in a gate, and it's going to take this meandering path around a mountain, around a cell, around a nucleus, around a cytoplasm, around a whatever. It will get to a mitochondria, and eventually it will produce ATP. And again, this process would be random. It might happen, it might not. Inefficient. If it's frequency based, direct line. Go in there, direct line. ATP, direct line, energy. Boom, I can move, I can breathe, my heart beats, my blood cells reproduce, okay? My stem cells reproduce, my stem cells create everything. That's what happens. We are frequency creatures. I feel like I need to talk about this more. This is how what I do works, because my brain works on frequency. A thought is more than just a thought, okay? A thought is a whole bunch of stuff. So it's emotions, it's memories, it's visualization, it's imagination, it's all sorts of stuff. It's chemicals, okay? All chemicals have frequency. So it's all these frequencies all combined together, and they can be sent. That's how radio works, okay? So how radio works is a bunch of frequencies, voice, song, music, and music and song combined makes, or music and someone singing combined makes a song. Okay? That is combined with a carrier wave. That carrier wave is then broadcast from an antenna. The antenna beams it through the air, okay, through nothing, to your antenna in your radio at home or in your car or wherever. Okay, that antenna then does magic and turns those waves back into sound. Everything works on vibration, everything works on frequency, everything works on voltage. That is how we work. So if my brain, or your brain, whoever, emits all these thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, memories, it's combining them all together into a packet of information. It's then able to be emitted at the speed of light, essentially everywhere, but it can be directed, okay, like a laser. Okay, so a laser is just directed, coherent light, and that's what lasers are. Okay, loads of, okay, radar as well. Okay, kind of coherent light. Okay, it's almost like a laser beam radar. Yeah, I could go on to a thing about microwaves here, but anyway, that's how we work. Okay, so we are directed, okay, and we are working on a frequency basis, not on a random, I need protein to go here in my body basis, because, you know, I eat a load of protein and protein needs to go to the muscles I've trained to repair. How does our body know? It's got a signaling process to tell it where to send stuff. When you get pain, an injury, okay, we don't send inflammatory markers to everywhere in our body. We send inflammatory markers to the site where we've just got injured, so that our body has the signal to repair that site. It doesn't send inflammatory markers everywhere, or at least it shouldn't. Okay? It sends it specifically to one area. That creates the frequency, it creates the signal that we need to heal ourselves in this area. And it's a bigger signal than, say, like normal wear and tear on our gut lining when we eat food, normal wear and tear on my skin cells just from, you know, being alive, normal wear and tear on my vocal cords from just talking too much. Okay, so an injury, same thing. Okay, it's a frequency that our body understands. It sends the right chemicals, it sends the right proteins, it sends the right raw materials to rebuild that injury site back to perfect. At least it should. Okay, right. I love talking about this stuff. Thank you for listening. I hope that is good for you. Was it good for you? Never something you should ask a lady.